Well, for more, let's cross to Brussels and correspondent Dave Keating. Dave, you were there for that statement by the president of the European Commission. What's the mood where you are?
Well, I mean, these sanctions are now coming in the context, of course, of what's happened with the Nord Stream 2 pipelines. This is the eighth package of sanctions. A lot of it was expected that we knew was coming, that's been being prepared for weeks. There were some new elements that are kind of previewing an intention of getting pretty harsh in the ninth round, which includes sanctioning people in third countries that are helping Russia evade sanctions. So, for instance, a Turkish businessman who was buying goods in the EU and then selling them in Russia could be subject to sanctions in the future. In addition, people donating money to the occupied regions or spreading false information about the war could also be subject to sanctions. But that will be for a future round. Of course, everyone's mind right now is on this mystery surrounding these explosions in the Nord Stream pipelines. Those are the gas pipelines under the Baltic Sea that bring Russian gas to Germany, or at least used to until Russia turned them off. Now we have news just in the past couple hours that Russia is actually calling a meeting of the UN Security Council to discuss this. Russia says they didn't do it. The EU hasn't said that Russia did it, but the EU has said that this was a man-made explosion, that this was sabotage on the pipelines. And so this press conference, well, it wasn't really a press conference. When they were speaking here behind me, they just made their statements and left. It didn't appear that they wanted to answer questions about this mystery surrounding those explosions right now.
And those that are most concerned, Dave, are the ones that neighbor the Baltic Sea. I'm seeing a statement that's just come in from a Danish official saying that the amount of gas release corresponds to 1/3 the greenhouse gas emissions Denmark produces in a single year. What to do if it's sabotage? And the EU is saying it's sabotage.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big questions. We had strong statements from President von der Leyen saying that if this was sabotage, the EU will respond forcefully. We also had Vice President Dombrovskis reiterate that. It's kind of unclear whether they're talking about this incident or future energy infrastructure sabotage. But I think it's difficult right now for the Commission because we don't yet know who did this. And of course, the strong suspicion is that it was Russia, but there are other possibilities. And perhaps the EU doesn't want to get too ahead of itself in terms of talking about an aggressive response if it turns out that it was a Western ally. And that is the idea that's being floated by Russia. It's the idea that they're trying to put out there as they call this UN Security Council summit. The difficult thing is here, these explosions took place so far underwater that I've heard from people, we may never know who caused these explosions. They're deep underwater. Right now, the gas is still pouring out. It's really difficult for any divers or any investigators to get down there to investigate what happened. And in the meantime, we may be dealing with a climate catastrophe as the methane from this gas is bubbling up in these bubbles that are apparently as much as 1 kilometer wide. The ships can't be sailing in the Baltic Sea because the gas bubbles could disrupt them. And then when those gas bubbles come to the surface, they go into the atmosphere. So we are looking potentially not just at a security crisis here, but also a very acute climate crisis.
Wow. Dave Keating reporting live from Brussels. Many thanks.